The file pull down has this, and of the various things there are, you have new, open, save as, pretty much the same as every other program, and they correlate to file, new, open, save as on the standard toolbar. Same icons as pretty much every other program. So that's that, nice and simple. I'll skip this one for now, but import, export. Import, you're bringing the drawings into PDS as your background to avoid things, or maybe it's your road alignment to trace off of. Export, you're exporting out whatever, your manual schedules, your drainage plan, your road profiles, site sections and such, so that they can be brought into whatever drawing that needs that information to be updated. And this button is there, those two little pieces of paper with the little blue and red arrows. And basically, if we click on it, this is one of the other things that's good about PDS, is that you'll find that there are at times multiple commands attached to a single pop-up, and like this, what happens the rest of that pop-up depends on which one you want to do. So that's all grayed out. You have these options here, you choose export. There you got these buttons or options to click on. So that's another one of the good things about PDS, is it groups commands into a single pop-up so that you don't have to go looking for so many buttons. They're interchangeable. So we cancel that. We go back to File, Drawing Properties. Now, it's kind of interesting the first few projects you do, but quickly, as most normally people do, this quickly loses interest. But it tells you the time you spent on working on this one, was last accessed. Also the statistics, so number of lines, points, text in this. The also has summary and revision. The sum, and I must admit I never use these, and I don't think I've seen anyone ever use these. Maybe if you had a big project and it was BIM 2 compliant, this would be much more relevance, but if you're not working on that, then it doesn't really get used. For myself, I keep track of revision and summary by giving it the BIM number, and then I'll have the revision number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and then the description in the title, and I simply move the superseded projects into a superseded folder and just have only the current one there in the main folder. That's how I do it, but it's up to you in terms of your preferences. But again, those first three things, they're there on the first tab. So let's cancel that. So let's go back to File, Proceed Module, and let's look at these modules. So they're listed here, and right now we're in PGM ground model, and we know we're in PGM ground model because if I come out of this, there's the PGM ground model toolbar there, and it says PGM here. And this is all your command buttons here listed out there. For the most part, they follow the same order. It does kind of split some of them out a little bit differently than what's listed there, but all that is equal to all of this. So let's go and let's choose pad. Maybe we want to do the road alignment. So watch what happens with that PGM text there and the toolbar down the side. So if we go proceed a module, I'm going to choose pad. There, that's the pad toolbar down the side. Now that says pad. And if I scroll down, horizontal design, vertical design, horizontal design, vertical design. So this is changed now to a list of commands which is represented by all these buttons. If we go back to File, Proceed and Module, let's go to Drainage. Click PDD. There it says PDD, and that's the drainage module. And if I choose Setup, Layout, Loading, Setup, Layout, Loading, so all those command buttons relate or are this list. The only difference is this is in list form. So these two change, and so you can jump between the different modules by coming to this point and choosing them. Now remember what I said about the command line and about the text. So the other way to tell what module you are in is it says drainage. So that's what it says. We're in the drainage, the D with the middle letter, drainage module. If we go to alignment pad, and it's thinking about it, and there, alignment, which is the middle initial A, alignment. If we go File, Proceed Module, Highway, there it says Highway, which is the middle initial. So I can jump between the different modules by coming to this point, and then that'll change and this will change. The reason why I listed those 8 or talked about those 8 is because the buttons to go to the different modules is listed here. So you have ground model, pad alignment, overlay, PDD drainage, PPD, services, PLD, survey, which is the exact same order as this. So this is the same order which is represented by those buttons. So you could jump between the different modules by going on to this. Let's go back to that ground modeling. Click on this, PGM, ground toolbar, ground modular in the command button. If we go to drainage, that's drainage, PDD, drainage toolbar, and it says drainage there. And the thing is that I don't know if you noticed, but when I went from the ground model, that was ground module, that was not, the symbol there was not shown across this row, and the PDD drainage was, and it was located between these two. Well, let's go back to ground modeling. So this one disappears and drainage module's back, but it doesn't go back to the front. Excuse me. It doesn't go back to the end of the list. It goes into the same spot order as per this list. So you always know that drainage module, if you're not in one of the modules before this list, you always know it's the 4th one. So we're in ground modeling, so that's in the 4th space. If I go to highway layout, it's still in the 4th spot. If we go to pod layout, it's still there in the 4th spot, because in the list is in the 5th spot, and we're gone to one of the ones before it. If we go to the PSVD services one, that's not shown in the 5th spot because there's 4 before it, and we've gone into one of the modules after it. So this is always the same order as per this list. It just simply removes the one that you're in from that list, so you can't go into it. So that changes, this changes, services command line changes, and that group there changes. So that's the file pull down menu. The next pull down menu is assist, which has a toolbar, which is the question mark assist. So let's click on it. If we go back to assist, we have undo options, redo options, which are these 4 here, and as you can see, they're pretty much the same symbol as the majority of other programs. A simple arrow pointing either left or right to either go back or redo. And the thing with PDS is that the undo redo is also located at another location here, because it takes the really highly used commands, and for a few of them it has them located in multiple locations. So don't always think that you need to only go to one spot. You'll learn which ones this are repeated in different locations as you learn PDS, but it's just something to be in notes of, that it may be in more than one location. So if we go back to the assist toolbar, which is the question mark, you go to assist, undo options, redo options, which are these buttons here, which basically means that you can go back more than one command at a time. You can do some other things like reset the number of commands in your undo list, because PDS only will keep a memory of so many steps. It won't keep a track of the last 500 steps you did like CAD does. It only has a certain amount, and that changes based on this value. And the same thing with redo. Go to redo options, this comes up. You can only go forward how many steps you want, or all of them in one hit. Let's go back to assist. You have inquiry, which is measure angles, list different things, verify entity. So this is your inquiry, measure angle, distance, length, areas. And then you have also inquiry, verify a layer, and verify entity, count entities, layers list. So if you have a question about something in your in PDS in terms of what it is, or what length is, what area is, you come to this toolbar and then cancel command. So that's the assist toolbar. The next pull down is draw. So you have point, line, arc, block, circle, string, fillet, text. If we go to the draw toolbar, which is the pencil, here you have draw, point, line, arc, circle, string, fillet, text, and such. One thing I would point out, I'm not too sure I have done it already, is that if you have a list of things in one area, PDS generally tends to list those same things in the same order. So point, line, arc were the first things on the list, point, line, arc. So that's one thing to know to help you along. So point, draw point, line is pretty self-explanatory, arc, circles, all self-explanatory. I will just quickly dive into what a string and a line is, because if you use CAD, it's either line or polyline. Line is just a single line segment, point A to point B. Polyline is points A, B, C, all the way to Z, and everything in between. String is the same thing. It's a whole bunch of segments joined together. Don't know why they call it string, but it is. And in terms of doing your work when you're drawing your 3D information, so your buildings, your footpaths, whatever have you, I would highly recommend using strings, because PDS is built to manipulate strings, not lines. So for example, if we go back to ground modeling really quickly, if I go draw string, yeah, I choose this layer. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, enter. If I go use this surface design perimeter, modify existing, click on this, yes, close it temporarily, move this. You can do things like set level 114.9 there to there. I'm gonna done. I'm gonna give it gradients because that has to be a footpath 1 to 60. Apply from this point to there. Click on that. You get 114.63. Done. Yes, restore it to its unclosed state. Exit. So there, I was able to set the points of level because maybe this is tying into an existing slab. You can grade it to come down into here to a car park area, and that's going to be the level of the car park. So use strings because PDS can manipulate things a lot more easier and quickly when you go through it. So if I delete entity, okay, there. So that's your draw text, add text as you want. So yeah, that's the draw toolbar. Next is construct, offset, generate point, text to point, etc. And if we come across here, it is this one, construct, offset, generate point, text to point, chain offset. So all these commands here are repeated. Chain offset, all these are represented by these here. And I don't know if you notice the pattern now, but assist, draw, construct, assist, draw, construct. So this is following the same thing, the same order as per the pull downs across here. So if we are at construct. Next one is modify. So next to the pull down menu, construct is modify. Next to modify is views. Next to modify is views. So it's following this is following the same order as this across the top. So let's jump into the modify toolbar. Delete entity and delete object. Those first two are highly used, just like erase in CAD. And we could go to the modify toolbar, but delete entity, delete object are right there. And if we go to modify, delete entity, delete object. So you can go into the toolbar to get to those, or just click on those two there because they're highly repetitive. And really quickly, the difference between an entity and an object is that the entity are things that you tend to draw which do not get updated when something else gets updated. So they're kind of what's referred to as dumb lines or dumb circles because they're not intelligent enough to get to update themselves when something else gets changed. So a case in point, a row profile. The ground level on a row profile will change when that ground model is updated. So it's a smart object. So for example, this is a footpath here. If I go delete entity, click on this, I can delete it. Happy days. If I go delete entity, this drainage run, it says it can't do it because I had to use the correct command. So it won't let me do it because that's an intelligent object. So that's what the difference is. Entities are dumb lines that don't get updated automatically. Objects are smart entities or smart lines, smart circles that update themselves. If we go back to modify, there's divide, generate string, edit string, mirror, move, the usual suspects just like CAD. And if we go to modify, divide entity, generate string, edit string, mirror, move, rotate. So all those things are in there as well. View is next. And so you have repaint and regen, pretty much the same thing. And they're basically, you recreate the graphics on the screen when you've deleted something else. And when you deleted that other object, the graphics not only disappear to that object that you deleted, but the graphics maybe of a very close line next to it have disappeared as well. So you can use repaint or regen to regenerate the graphics. Sorry. Next is zoom. You have all the different zoom, zoom all, extent, window, real time, zoom in, zoom out, zoom ratio, and you also have pan and real time. And if I go to the views, you have zoom all visible, zoom extent, zoom window. So it's all zoom extent, window. It's all these ones there across this. And then you also have your pan, real time as well. So pan is there. And if we come back out of this, but again, PDS knows that there's some commands that are highly repetitive and highly used. So the views are not only in the view pull down menu and in the view toolbar. Here you have zoom all, zoom window, zoom real time, zoom previous, pan, zoom all visible, and repaint. So these commands are the same as some of the more common ones in here, and also repeated in the view toolbar. And then we also have some views. So you have define viewports, which you may go into this to view. Maybe you want to zoom one little area. Here is the whole thing. Left click, go back into it. Right click, go into this. View, defined viewports. You can go into 4 if you want. I must admit I've only just used 2, and that's been usually only on the very larger sites, but you can have multiple views. Let's put it back to single. You can set view extents, so you only have a perimeter of when you go zoom extents instead of doing the whole thing, which might be good because you just zoom extents will be the site rather than viewing everything like all the profiles and manhole schedules. But we'll go into this one, which is these are standard views, top, front, left, right, and such. And if you go into this button, change view, you have top, bottom, front, rear, left, right. And if we go to that was front, go to the front there, you instantly see. This is really handy if you're doing if you're building your models and you have a whole bunch of contours in one area, you're trying to figure out what it is. Probably is what's happening here. You have a string where you have a level 0 somewhere along that point, and so PDS is picking that 0 point and it's dropping the mesh to that point. So it's a good way of seeing why maybe you have that error. There we go, you got it from this view. You have isometric ones, go back to top there. So that's a bit of a handy one. So you have your standard views, which is in here, and there again pan real time, so you have pan there, you have pan real time there, you have here pan real time. So again, highly used commands can get repeated, and not just 2 places, but sometimes even 3 places. If we go view 3Ds orbit, it gives us this option where we can hold the control key down and you use the left mouse and you click and you hold, and there it's the cursor's changed to those two circles interacting to each other at 90 degrees. And if I move the mouse, you can see it spins everything around, so you can see how it looks, which is really important if you got lots of embankments on a site or a really curvy one. This is a pretty flat site because it is a care home. It takes up most of the site, so there's too much to see. So if I go top there, there we go, back to top, and if I go use window, left click, right click, there I'm back. Regarding view, you can also use your mouse scroll wheel to roll forward, zoom in, roll back, and it zooms out. So that's your various views, and that one there is top view. It's not a toolbar, so it's a single button, so that when you've been spinning things around and that, and you want to reorientate yourself, you just hit that one and boom, your top view of everything. So that's the view pull down menu. Settings is next, and here is the layers. Layer control, select layer, current layer, echo layers, etc. And if you go to this little stack of papers with, well, if we go to this one first, so layer control, click on that. It's the stack of all your papers. There you can use the filters, and really quickly, if I go unused, so you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go OK, if I go to this pull down menu, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that's the filter that we have applied. Go back to the stack of papers, which is the layer. If I choose all in use, first one is 100, 1 jumps to 129, go OK. This 0, 100, 129. So the filter that you applied by going into this layers, the stack of papers, gets applied to the layer drop down menu. And if we go back to settings, layers, all these different ones in here, click on the Lasaka layer papers, it's all these ones. List layers, layers visibles, list layers used, change layers to maybe you want everything to be on the building layer, freeze layers, echo layers, only the ones that you choose will be visible, etc. So that's where all the layer ones are. The other one on this list is preferences. So just like CAD and every other program, there's a list of preferences that you can change. Profiles, you can set up a user profile just like CAD, so that you can always, no matter where you go, you can always adjust things really quickly to how you want them. I must admit, I never bother with these ones. I've always found the default ones pretty useful, but you can go into it. There's so many things that go into this that I'm just not going to go into it right now. That can be another video. And as always, if there's anything that anyone has a question about, you can always drop a comment in the sections and I can dedicate the next video to that question or query you have. So let's just cancel that. Tools is next. So settings and tools and file, they don't have anything along here to represent those pull down menus. You just simply have either the command either in another toolbar, or it'll be just right there, like open, save, save as. They're just right there and they're not in a toolbar. So tools, you can use plot drawing. I must admit, I just never use this. I'm either exporting it to CAD and printing that way, or I'm sending someone a 3D model drawing. You also have, sorry, wrong one, run file, log file. You can create a log file just like CAD, all the commands used. I guess it might be kind of interesting at the end of our project just to see what all the commands have been used, but again, it's just one of those things that it's there, but I've never seen anyone use it in all my experience. Next, it's symbols. So you can create, just like CAD, various symbols. You can delete them, replace them, get a report on them. This one's important, Intialise PGM. So if you're in ground modeling, you would have this Intialise PGM. You can do the same thing with tools, Intialise PGM. And the importance of that is that if you're doing something in road design or drainage, where you need the ground levels, maybe the wrong surface mesh, which is your PGM, has been used, and you need to correct it to the right one instead of going back into the ground model to initialize it. You can quickly do it through this, so it's a time-saving exercise, which is good. And then you have toolbars, and basically all those toolbars that you saw up across the top are listed here. So standard that's the standard, and if you went into assist to get to this, you can go tools, toolbars, go to assist. So it's good because if I want to go to draw, rather than going to the main one and then selecting draw, I can just go tools, draw, replaces it immediately. So that's really handy. And the same thing applies to the PGM, or your module toolbar. So here it's saying PGM because we're in PGM. I can go straight to build options rather than going to the button. I can jump straight to boreholes rather than going to the main one and finding the boreholes. So these are good sometimes just to find the right toolbar that you want. And again, because PDS replaces the toolbar with the one that you want, you don't have all these other toolbars floating around. You just have these two. And it'd be important to note that the data retrieval toolbar is not listed in this. And then lastly, we have PGM palette. If I click on this and you look to your left where the PGM toolbar is, it changes to that. So instead of having a toolbar with just the symbols, you have everything there listed, but you actually have a description of what it is. Commands, options, build, which is really good for someone who's just learning it. So I must admit, again, I prefer to maximize my area, so I just use toolbars. PGM, we talked about it. Everything there is what's in that toolbar, so this will change depending on what module you are, but whatever is there is what is in this. And then lastly, help. This is where you have all the help topics, and again, if you notice, the order of the modules is the exact same order which was in your file. So let's take the first three: PGM, alignment, highways. PGM is the first in the list, alignment, highways, and if we go to help, system, ground, alignment, highways. So that order again is repeated here. It's repeated everywhere. So that's the one good thing about PDS. And so that's the help topics. If we go to command history, that's all the commands that have been used since this program has been active. And while you could go F2, go to here, which has a list of all the commands. The difference is that this has all the other extra lines of text in it, including the automatic save text. So if you're trying to go back to a certain point, maybe it's to delete entity, you could count the commands that you've done between then and now, so that when you go into the undo option, you go undo options, and you ask, one of the things you could do is to say, I want to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps, so I can go back to delete entity, and it'll undo them all and gets back, and you'll be back at the point that you want to be. So that's what it's useful for. So if we cancel that, next in the help drop down is repeat command. So whereas CAD, you hit enter again, it knows you're wanting to repeat the command. Maybe you're trying to repeat draw, or repeat edit, or whatever. PDS unfortunately doesn't do that, not currently. If PDS is listening, please make that change. But currently it doesn't. You have to go to repeat command. So if we go draw string, okay, 1, 2, 3, draw some circles, all right, fine. Now get out of that command. We go back up 1 step, help, repeat command, insert circle. So, and there's my circles. So let's just, and this is where that command history is. So I want to get rid of those circles. So I've gone 1, 2 steps. So I go cancel, and I'm going to go assist, and I go undo options, and I can go undo 2 steps. There, the circles are gone. So that's how that's really useful. Now, memory usage, just simply as it says how much memory is being used by this. It can be kind of interesting when you're first working on it, but the more you crank out, probably the less interesting it'll be, and the only people that'll be interested probably will be just the IT guys. When you're calling them asking, why the hell is my computer working so slowly? I got a deadline today and I need to get this out. So they'll ask you, well, let's see how much memory it's using. So they may ask you to go into this and have a little snoop around to see, maybe this is the issue or maybe something else. And then if we go to the last two, license details and about PDS. So that just tells you what your license reference is and what version of this module you're using, and what the patch is, that latest patch you're using. So that when you go to the help on, use the help portal for Causeway, they'll say what's the license number, what revision it is, because inevitably the first thing they'll ask is, have you downloaded the latest patch? And you can say, yes, I have. It's this patch, downloaded last week. That's not the problem. And you can work to getting it sorted out. So that never gets looked at. So that's the help pull down menu. So if we come over to the data retrieval command bar, the first one on the list is object snap. So this is the same thing as F3 in CAD, your snap settings. And if we go to, view, let's go to toolbars, draw there. So instead of going back out to the top, going into the draw toolbar, I use that one to go straight to it. And there's string, which is a polyline, and CAD talk. We go as digitize, click a point, so I want to snap to that line. Go snap, I go to that line and snap to that line, and then I'm going to go to the center of that circle, and then the center of that circle, and then I'm going to go to the corner of that, and then I'm just going to go to free digitize point there. That's my line. And I'm going to do, so that's what it does. You're asking it to snap to the various points just like CAD. So if I go back, go undo one step, should get rid of that line. There we go. Go back up to the main one. This one's entity mask. That really does not get used. So I'm going to skip that one for now because I'm just trying to keep things high level. And if we go to select window, so if we go, let's what should we draw? Let's see, let's draw some circles. Specify by digitizing. So you're going to set the radius by sensing the center and then the edge. Center, then the edge. Center, then the edge. And if I want to delete it, go back up, delete entity. I'm going to do anything that's crossing this window. So crossing that window, they're gone. I'm going to do the whole shebang. It has to be inside this big window. There, it's gone. So when it's asking you to do is to select various entities, various objects to carry out command, and you need to choose what group it is. You would come in here and you choose which window or how you want to select those objects by using these various commands. Here we have point filters. So you're choosing a line or not drawing an object by selecting the X, Y, or Z coordinates or values. I must admit, all the points are always 6 digits with 3 decimal points. And so to draw points by this method really is not that efficient. And this is point offset. So offset from X, offset from Y. It really is not that useful. So I never end up using them. They're there, but they're really not that useful. So we did the snap, we've done the windows, we've done point filters, and every time we went into this, these 5 always stay the same. They're always shown. And what it is that that's saying, yes, I want to do something, or no, I don't. And it's only in certain commands that it gets used. Off the top of my head, when you're attaching features to roads, it comes into play then, because it'll ask, maybe you're assigning it to the left hand side, and then ask, do you want to attach this to the right hand side of the road? You can go hit the line, the red circle, and go no, rather than just, because the thing is, like with PDS, you can't type no. Everything's done by hitting the buttons or using the pop-up windows. So that's what that's useful for. So you're going yes, do something, or no, don't do it when the command line is asking you whether or not you want to do something. This is enter button. So with PDS, they want you to avoid using the keyboard from entering commands. So they basically have the enter button here. So it's the same thing as hitting enter on your keyboard. You just hit enter there. So it's the same thing. Next, you have entity or digitize. Now, there's some commands where it's saying, I'll give you an example where you're building your DGM. So you've got all your 3D line work, and you want to now create that 3D surface, the DGM. So you go into it, and it says draw a boundary. If I went manual, if I go okay, it's saying dig, which is abbreviation for digitize. Now I could either draw a line going all the way around it. And go, if I went right click now, it would start creating that ground model. Or what I could do is, there's doing it now, it's creating it. If I just go cancel. Alternatively, if I had a string going all the way around it, as digitize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you do it again, but this time we're going to digitize the entity. So we go OK. Sorry, this time we're going to not digitize it. What we're going to do is choose the entity. So now it says ENT is asking for the entity, not to digitize it, but select the entity. So I click this, right click, there is creating it now. So I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to create it. So that's what it does. So either you create a boundary, or you do something by selecting multiple points, or you choose something that's already drawn. So that's what that is. And then lastly, this is X, which is just cancel. So if I went this, it doesn't work if you have a pop-up. But if you're doing a command down here, so if I go draw a line, go OK, it's asking insert point, digitize, digitize. If I go into this now, cancel it, it's canceled the command. So that's what that is. And so that's that toolbar. There, and that completes this video. To recap, here you have all the pull down menus. Here is the layer pull down menu to go to choose whatever layer you want. This is your standard toolbar, and this gets replaced by whatever toolbar you're going to go into, whether it's draw or assist, because you don't have 10 different toolbars floating about. You have one which gets replaced by the one that you're going into or wanting to look at. Here's the module toolbar, and depending on what module you're going into, this will change to match the module that you've gone into. This is your data retrieval toolbar. Basically, you're using it to choose the snaps, choosing the window to select objects, changing between digitize something or selected object for a command, cancel a command, among other things. And then here, this is what you're using to choose which module to go in between, to go to, although you can do that by going into file and choosing the module to go into there, to go into by that method. And then lastly, here's the command line across the bottom. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding of what the pull down menus are, how to move toolbars, what toolbars there are, why you don't have a whole package of toolbars floating all over the place, how they work and interact with each other. And now you should be able to navigate through PDS. We will be putting together more videos to understanding how to enact the various commands, how to carry out those buttons when you hit it, the steps for offsetting lines or creating strings, whatever, and some more videos that we'll be putting together. Hopefully you'll join us for those ones. It's really helpful if you can like the channel, like the video, and subscribe to help get this going. The more support I have and the more feedback I have, the more videos I can produce that are more tailored to common questions that you have. So thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next one.